In the beginning, the airplane was not a weapon. It was a fragile thing made of wood, wire, and fabric. When the Great War started in 1914, generals saw these new machines as useful tools. They used them as high ground, a way to see over the trenches and barbed wire. Pilots flew slowly over enemy lines, simply looking. They were observers, mapping enemy positions and watching for troop movements. Their job was to gather information and return to base safely. These early pilots often waved at their enemies in the sky. They were cavalry scouts of the air, not warriors. The idea of fighting in the sky had not yet taken hold. The sky was a new frontier, vast and empty. Soon, that friendly waving turned hostile. A pilot might throw a brick or a rope, hoping to damage an enemy's propeller. Then they started carrying pistols and rifles. They would take pot shots at each other, trying to score a lucky hit on the engine or the other pilot. This was clumsy and dangerous. It was hard to fly a shaky plane with one hand while aiming a rifle with the other, but the seed of an idea was planted. What if the airplane itself could become the weapon? What if it could do more than just watch? The sky was about to become a battlefield, a three-dimensional chessboard where life and death were decided in seconds. The real change came with a brilliant, deadly invention. A Dutch engineer named Anthony Fokker, working for the Germans, created a special gear. This was the interrupter gear. It connected the plane's machine gun to its engine. It allowed a pilot to fire a gun straight ahead, through the spinning propeller without shooting off the blades. This was a revolution. The pilot no longer had to aim a separate gun. He aimed the entire airplane. The plane and the gun were one. This system was fitted to the Fokker Eindecker, a monoplane that became the terror of the skies in 1915. It was the first true fighter plane. Allied pilots were helpless against this new machine. The Fokker Scourge, as it was called, dominated the air over the Western Front. British and French pilots in their slower planes with awkward gun mounts were shot down in shocking numbers. This single piece of technology changed aerial warfare forever. It forced the Allies to innovate desperately, creating their own synchronized guns and better fighter planes. The age of the lone observer was over. The age of the hunter, the fighter ace, had begun. The sky was no longer a place for scouting. It was a vertical arena where pilots stalked each other and only the best survived. 2 decades after the Great War, the world plunged into conflict again. This time, the fighter plane was not an afterthought. It was a central weapon of war. The technology had leaped forward. The slow, fabric-covered biplanes were gone. In their place were sleek, powerful monoplanes made of metal. Their piston engines roared with over 1,000 horsepower, pushing them to speeds unimaginable in World War I. These were the legendary fighters of World War II. They were the ultimate expression of propeller-driven aircraft, the pinnacle of a technology that was about to be replaced by the jet engine. They were fast, heavily armed, and incredibly agile. On one side, you had the German Messerschmitt Bf-109. It was a deadly machine, small, fast, and designed for a specific purpose: to climb quickly, dive on its target, and destroy it with cannon and machine gun fire. It was the backbone of the Luftwaffe's fighter force. On the other side, the British had the Supermarine Spitfire. To many, it was the most beautiful fighter ever built, with its graceful elliptical wings. The Spitfire was a brilliant dogfighter, able to outturn almost anything it faced. The epic clashes between Spitfires and Bf-109s during the Battle of Britain became the stuff of legend, a desperate struggle for control of the sky. These machines were constantly evolving. Engineers on all sides worked feverishly to make their planes faster, tougher, and more lethal. The Americans joined the fight with powerful aircraft like the P-51 Mustang. With its incredible range, the Mustang could escort bombers all the way to Berlin and back, fighting off German interceptors along the entire route. This changed the air war over Europe completely. It allowed the Allies to take the fight deep into enemy territory. The pilots who flew these machines became national heroes, their skill and courage tested in massive aerial battles involving hundreds of planes at once. The lessons learned in these fiery skies pushed aviation technology to its absolute limit. Every aspect of the aircraft was improved. Engines became more powerful and reliable. Aerodynamics became more refined. New weapons and targeting systems were developed, but piston engines and propellers had a ceiling. There was a point where they simply could not go any faster. As World War II drew to a close, German engineers unleashed a radical new weapon, the Messerschmitt Me 262, the world's first operational jet fighter. It was a sign of things to come. The era of the piston engine was over. A new age was dawning.
Perfect.
The end of World War II did not bring peace. It brought the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union faced each other in a tense standoff that lasted for decades. This rivalry fueled a technological arms race like nothing the world had ever seen. The main stage for this race was the sky. The new jet engine promised incredible speed, and both superpowers poured immense resources into developing faster and more powerful fighter jets. The goal was simple air superiority. Whoever controlled the skies would have a decisive advantage in any future conflict. This was the dawn of the jet age, defined by speed and power. In the skies over Korea in the early 1950s, the new age had its first major test. American F-86 Sabres clashed with Soviet-made MiG-15s. These were the first classic jet-versus-jet dogfights. Both planes were swept-wing designs capable of flying near the speed of sound. The pilots had to learn entirely new tactics for this high-speed combat. Later, during the Vietnam War, the next generation appeared. The American F-4 Phantom II, a huge, powerful beast capable of flying at twice the speed of sound, battled smaller, more agile Soviet MiGs. The Phantom was a monster, a multi-role fighter that could carry a massive load of bombs and missiles. This era was all about pushing the envelope. Breaking the sound barrier, once a huge achievement, became standard. Jets were designed to fly higher and faster than ever before. Engines became incredibly powerful, with afterburners that dumped raw fuel into the exhaust to create a massive surge of thrust. Electronics became just as important as the airframe. Powerful radars were installed in the noses of fighters, allowing them to see and target enemies from miles away, long before a visual dogfight could begin. Air-to-air missiles were developed, promising to destroy enemy planes from beyond visual range. The jets themselves became symbols of national power. The Soviets produced a long line of famous fighters under the Mikoyan-Gurevich or MiG and Sukhoi or Su design bureaus. Each new model was a challenge to the West. In response, the United States developed its Century Series fighters, like the F-100 Super Sabre and F-104 Starfighter, each one designed to be faster and more advanced than the last. This was a high-stakes game of chess played at Mach 2, where engineers and designers were the grandmasters, and pilots were the knights risking everything in the sky. We now live in the age of the fifth-generation fighter. These are not just airplanes, they are flying supercomputers. Today's top jets, like the American F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II, are defined by a combination of technologies that make them almost science fiction. The most important of these is stealth. Their shapes, materials, and special coatings are designed to make them nearly invisible to enemy radar. They can slip through enemy defenses undetected, strike their targets, and leave before the enemy even knows they are there. This is a game-changing capability that makes all previous generations of fighters almost obsolete. These jets are packed with incredible technology. The pilot's helmet alone is a technological marvel. In an F-35, the helmet costs over $400,000 and displays all critical flight and combat information directly onto the visor. The pilot can see through the floor of the aircraft using a system of external cameras. These jets also have advanced sensor fusion. They take in data from their own powerful radar, infrared sensors, and a network of other friendly forces, and combine it all into a single, easy-to-understand picture of the battlefield. The pilot has godlike awareness of everything happening for hundreds of miles around. This level of technology comes at a staggering cost. A single F-22 Raptor costs well over $150 million, and an F-35 is not far behind. The cost to fly them per hour is tens of thousands of dollars. This is why only a few countries can afford to develop and operate these machines. Other global powers have their own fifth-generation programs, like Russia's Su-57 Felon and China's J-20 Mighty Dragon. The race for air dominance continues, now fought in the realms of computer code, advanced materials, and networked warfare as much as in the sky itself. From the first Fokker Eindecker to the F-22 Raptor, the evolution of the fighter jet is a story of human ingenuity and competition. These machines represent the cutting edge of what is possible. They are symbols of national pride and military power, but they are also fascinating feats of engineering. Learning about them teaches us about history, technology, and the unending quest to go faster, fly higher, and be better than the opposition. They capture our imagination because they allow humans to do the impossible, to slip the bonds of Earth and become